Have you ever stopped to think that the security you feel today inside your home in the city might just be an illusion? Look out the window right now. The noise, the traffic, the dependence on systems that can fail at any moment. If everything stopped today, if the electricity went out and the supermarket shelves were empty, where would you go? That question kept one man awake for many, many years. The fear of not being able to protect his own family transformed his mind. He knew he had to leave. He needed a refuge, a place where nothing from the outside world could reach them. But wanting is one thing, and having the courage to leave everything behind to build a life from scratch in the middle of the wilderness is something few people can do. Would you have that courage? Keep watching, because the journey he went through to turn that fear into a safe paradise is something that will change the way you see your own home. For years, his routine was the same as many of yours. Wake up early, sit in traffic, work to pay bills, and come home exhausted. But in his mind, a plan was being drawn. Every spare coin wasn't spent on new clothes or expensive dinners. He saved everything. He watched his friends trading in their cars every year, saw people traveling and spending money they didn't have, but he stayed focused. He knew the system was fragile. He looked at his young children and felt a tightness in his chest, thinking, will they be safe here in the future? That feeling of urgency, almost a silent panic, was the fuel he needed. And the question I ask you is, what are you sacrificing today to guarantee your family's safety tomorrow? The day finally came when the bank account reached the goal. He wasn't rich, far from it, but he had enough to buy a forgotten piece of land, far from the main roads, where the silence was broken only by the wind in the trees. When he stepped onto that land for the first time, there was nothing, just tall grass, rocks, and a gigantic challenge. Most people would look at that place and see only work and problems. He looked and saw freedom. But the euphoria didn't last long. As soon as the first night fell and total darkness took over the forest, real fear hit. He was alone, far from any help, and the responsibility weighed tons on his shoulders. Had he made a terrible mistake? The decision was made, and there was no turning back. He said goodbye to the comfort of air conditioning and a soft bed. The plan was ambitious: build an off-grid cabin, completely self-sufficient in just 1 year. Sounds like a long time, doesn't it? But when you don't have a construction crew and have to learn everything on your own, a year flies by in the blink of an eye. He wasn't a carpenter, he wasn't a mason, and he had never installed a solar system in his life. He was just an ordinary man with an unshakable goal. And this is where the real challenge begins. How do you lift heavy walls without help? How do you make sure the roof won't collapse in the first storm? He had to study. His nights were spent by candlelight, reading books and watching videos, learning how wood behaves, how to mix cement properly, how to protect the house from moisture. The first months were brutal. Imagine having to clear the land using only hand tools under a scorching sun, with insects biting you all day. His hands, which used to type on keyboards, were now covered in calluses and wounds. There were days when he could barely lift his arms from the pain. Could you endure that kind of daily physical effort? Many times he sat on the dirt floor, dirty and sweaty, and thought about giving up. The comfort of the city called to him. But then he remembered the reason: the safety of his family, freedom, and he got up again. The cabin's foundation was the first big test. If he got it wrong here, everything would be lost. He dug deep holes in the hard ground, carried heavy stones, and mixed cement until his back no longer felt anything.
Can you imagine the feeling of seeing the first wooden beam raised? For him, it was like winning the lottery. That wood represented the skeleton of his dream. But nature doesn't make things easy. In the middle of construction, the rainy season came. It wasn't just a little rain. It was storms that turned the land into a mud pit. The materials he had bought with so much sacrifice were at risk of rotting. He had to race against time, covering everything with tarps, working in heavy rain, slipping in the mud, cold and soaked to the bone. That was when fear came back strong. What if the cabin couldn't withstand it? What if he was just throwing money away? Doubt is the worst enemy of anyone building a dream. But he didn't stop. He learned to respect the rhythm of nature. When it rained, he worked on the interior or planned the next steps. When the sun shone, he worked double, from sunrise to sunset. He began raising the walls. Every board nailed was a small victory. He learned the hard way that wood moves, that it shrinks and expands, and he had to redo some parts that had warped. Frustration was constant, but the learning was priceless. He was becoming a builder, not by profession, but out of necessity. And you, what have you had to learn the hard way because you had no other choice? The feeling of making something with your own hands is indescribable. It's a power that modern society has taken from us.
There was little time left to complete the year. The cabin stood firm and strong. He built the stone fireplace in the center of the living room. Fire is the heart of the home. He imagined winter nights, the family gathered around the fire, telling stories, safe and warm while snow fell outside. That dream that once seemed impossible was there, tangible. He ran his hand over the walls he had raised himself and felt the vibration of the wood. That house had soul. It had his sweat and blood in every inch. It wasn't a ready-made house, cold and impersonal. It was a real home. Moving day was the most emotional moment. He picked up his family in the city. The car was full of suitcases, but they were leaving behind much more than furniture. They were leaving behind stress, fear of urban violence, pollution. When they reached the dirt road leading to the cabin, silence filled the car. The children looked out the window at the dense forest, and then the cabin appeared. It was beautiful, integrated with nature, as if it had always been there. The wood glowed in the afternoon sun. His wife got out of the car and put her hand over her mouth, moved. She knew how much he had suffered, how hard he had worked that year away from them. Entering the house for the first time with the family was the validation of all the effort. The children ran to choose their rooms, climbing the wooden stairs he had sanded with such care. He showed them how everything worked, how to light the wood stove, how to conserve water, how to respect the energy that came from the sun. There, in that moment, he wasn't just the father, he was the protector, the provider. He had kept the promise he made to himself years ago. Safety was no longer an illusion, it was real. They had stored food, water, heat, and a roof over their heads that no economic crisis could take away. But don't think off-grid life is just rest. Now a new phase began, the maintenance of life. Cutting firewood for winter, tending the garden he planted for fresh food, monitoring the solar system batteries. But this work doesn't tire the mind like office work does. It's a good kind of tired, the kind that makes you sleep deeply at night. He realized that happiness wasn't in having things, but in having time and peace. Would you trade your modern comfort for this hard-earned freedom? It's a tough question. Most people would say yes, but when it comes time to get their hands dirty, few would do it. Today, the cabin is finished and beautiful. The garden has bloomed, grass has grown around it. He built a swing for the children on a tall tree. Their lives have completely changed. They wake up to birdsong, not shrill alarms. They eat what they grow. They talk more, look at phone screens less. The fear he felt about the future has disappeared because now he knows that no matter what happens out there, they are prepared. He built his own world. Looking back, he sees that stressed man stuck in city traffic as a stranger. He saved himself and his family from an automatic life. The lesson from this story isn't just about building a wooden house. It's about our capacity to change our destiny. Often we stay trapped in situations we hate because we're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of failing. But the greatest failure is reaching the end of life and realizing you lived other people's dreams and not your own. What if tomorrow everything changed for you? Would you be ready? Maybe you don't need to build a cabin in the forest, but maybe you do need to build your own refuge, whatever that may be. It could be a career change, a new project, or simply changing how you spend your time. The important thing is to take the first step, that scary step toward the unknown. His cabin stands firm against storms, wind, and time. It is physical proof that human determination can move mountains. When you watch a video like this, seeing the images of that perfect construction, the lit fireplace and the forest around it, it's easy to think it was luck, but now you know the truth. You know about the sleepless nights, the back pain, the fear of failure, and the financial sacrifice. It was anything but luck. It was choice. Now, I want you to look at your life today. Is there a dream you've kept in a drawer because it seemed too hard? Is there a safety plan for your family that you keep postponing? Time waits for no one. That year he spent building the cabin would have passed anyway. The difference is how he chose to use that time. A year from now, you'll wish you had started today. The final image of the cabin, with smoke rising from the chimney and the golden sunset light hitting the windows, is more than a beautiful landscape. It's a symbol of victory. Victory against the system, against fear, and against one's own limitations. He did it. And if an ordinary man with no experience could do this, what's stopping you from achieving your great goal? Think about it. Real security doesn't come from the outside. It comes from your own hands and your decisions. The world out there can be chaotic and uncertain, but inside that cabin, there is a universe of peace that he created from nothing. And that, no money in the world can buy. That is the value of freedom.